2 Samuel chapter 20, Sheba's rebellion. Now a scoundrel named Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite, happened to be there. He sounded the horn and cried out, "We have to share in David, nor any heritage in the son of Jesse. Everyone to your tent, O Israel." So all the Israelites left David to follow Sheba, son of Bichri. But the Judahites from the Jordan to Jerusalem remained loyal to their king. David came to the house in Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 concubines whom he had left behind to care for the palace and placed them under guard. He provided for them, but never again saw them, and so they remained shut away to the day of their death, lifelong widows. Amasa's death. Then the king said to Amasa, "Summon the Judahites for me within 3 days. Then present yourself here." Accordingly, Amasa set out to summon Judah, but delayed beyond the time set for him. Then David said to Abishai, Sheba son of Bichri, "Take your Lord's servants and pursue him, lest he find fortified cities and take shelter while we look on." So Joab and the Sherethites and the Pelethites and all the warriors marched out from behind Abishai from Jerusalem, campaign in pursuit of Sheba son of Bichri. They were at the great stone in Gibeon where Amasa met them. Now Joab had a belt over his tunic, from which was slung a sword in its sheath at his thigh. The sword would slide out downwards. Joab asked Amasa, "Is everything all right?" "Is everything all right, my brother?" And with his right hand held Amasa's beard as if to kiss him, and since in Joab's other hand Joab stabbed him in the abdomen with it, so that his entrails burst forth to the ground, and he died. There was no second thrust. Then Joab and Abishai his brother pursued Sheba son of Bichri. One of Joab's attendants stood by Amasa and said, "Let him who favors Joab and is for David follow Joab." Amasa lay covered with blood in the middle of the high road, and the man noticed that all the soldiers were stopping. So he rolled Amasa away from the road to the field and spread a garment over him, because he saw how all who came upon him were stopping. When he had been removed from the road, everyone went on after Joab in pursuit of Sheba, son of Bichri. Joab pursues Sheba. Sheba had passed through all the tribes of Israel to Abel Beth Maacah. Then all of the Bichrites, assembled, and they too entered the city after him. So all of Joab's troops came and besieged him in Abel Beth Maacah. They built up a mound against the city, so that it stood against the rampart, and were battering the wall to knock it down. Then a wise woman from the city called out, Listen, tell Joab, come here, so I can speak with you." When Joab had come near her, the woman said, "Are you Joab?" And he replied, "Yes." She said to him, "Listen to what your servant has to say." He replied, "I am listening." Then she went on to say, "There is a saying from long ago, let them ask if they will in Abel or in Dan, whether loyalty is finished or ended in Israel. You are seeking to batter down a city that is mother in Israel. Why do you wish to swallow up the heritage of the Lord?" Joab answered, "Not at all. Not at all. I do not wish to swallow or batter anything. That is not the case at all. A man from the hill country of Ephraim, whose name is Sheba, son of Bichri, has rebelled against King David. Give him up, just him, and I will withdraw from the city." When the woman said, "Joab, his head shall be thrown to you across the wall," in her wisdom the woman went to all of the people, and they cut off the head of Sheba, son of Bichri, and threw it out to Joab. He then sounded the horn, and they scattered from the city to their own tents, while Joab returned to Jerusalem to the king. David's officials. Joab was in command of the whole army of Israel, but Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was in command of the Sherethites and the Pelethites. Adoram was in charge of the forced labor. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was the chancellor. Shasha was the tribe. Zadok and Abiathar were priests. Ira the Jerarite was also David's priest. The Appendixes. Chapter 21. Gibeonite vengeance. In David's time there was a famine for 3 years. Year after year David sought the presence of the Lord, who said there was blood guilt on Saul and his family because he put the Gibeonites to death. So the king called the Gibeonites and spoke to them. Now the Gibeonites were not Israelites, but survivors of the Amorites, and although the Israelites had given them their oath, Saul had sought to kill them off in his zeal for the Israelites and for Judah. David said to the Gibeonites, "What must I do for you? And how must I make atonement, that you may bless the heritage of the Lord?" The Gibeonites answered him, "We have no claim against Saul and his house for silver or gold, nor is it our place to put anyone to death in Israel." Then he said, "I will do for you whatever you propose." They said to the king, "And as for that man who was exterminating us and who intended to destroy us, that we might have no place in all the territory of Israel, let 7 men from among his descendants be given to us, that we may execute them before the Lord in Gibeon, on the Lord's mountain." The king replied, "I will give them up." The king, however, spared Merib-Baal, son of Jonathan, son of Saul, because of the Lord's oath that formed a bond between David and Saul's son Jonathan. But the king took Amoni and Merib-Baal, the 2 sons that Ahiah's daughter Rizpah had borne to Saul, and the 5 sons of Saul's daughter Merob, that she had borne to Adriel, son of Barzillai and the Maholathite, and delivered them into the power of the Gibeonites, who then executed them on the mountain before the Lord. The 7 fell at the one time. They were put to death during the first days of the harvest, that is, at the beginning of the barley harvest. Then Rizpah, Ahiah's daughter, took sackcloth and spread it out for herself on the rock from the beginning of the harvest until rain come down on them from the heavens, fending off the birds of the heavens from settling on them by day, and the wild animals by night. When David was informed of what Rizpah, Ahiah's daughter, the concubine of Saul, had done, he went and obtained the bones of Saul and of his son Jonathan from the citizens of Jabesh-Gilead, who had stolen them away secretly from the public square of Bethshan. When the Philistines had hanged them at the time they defeated Saul on Gilboa, when he had brought up from there the bones of Saul and of his son Jonathan, the bones of those who had been executed were also gathered up. Then the bones of Saul and of his son Jonathan were buried in the land of Benjamin in Zelah, in the tomb of his father Kish. After all the king commanded had been carried out, God granted relief to this land. Exploits of Philistine wars. There was another battle between the Philistines and Israel. David went down with his servants and fought the Philistines, but David grew tired. Dadu, a descendant of the Rephaim, whose bronze spear weighed 300 shekels, was about to take him captive. Dadu was girt with a new sword, and thought he would kill David, but Abishai, son of Zeruiah, came to help him and struck him and killed the Philistine. Then David's men swore to him, "You must not go out to battle with us again, lest you quench the lamp of Israel." After this there was another battle with the Philistines in Gob. On that occasion Sibbecai the Hushathite struck down Saph, a descendant of the Rephaim. There was another battle with the Philistines in Gob, and Elhanan, son of Jair, from Bethlehem, killed Goliath of Gath, whose spear shaft was like a weaver's beam. There was another battle at Gath, and there was a giant who had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in all. He too had descended from the Rephaim, and when he insulted Israel, Jonathan, son of David's brother Shimei, struck him down. These 4 were descended from the Rephaim in Gath, and they fell at the hands of David and his servants.